The afternoon sun burned hot over a small American town near Route 66, where the sound of roaring engines was as common as the smell of gasoline. A biker gang known as the Iron Wolves had stopped outside a rundown convenience store. Their leather jackets, covered in skull patches and American flags, made people inside the store nervous. Locals knew better than to stare too long. Inside the store, a 13-year-old boy named Ethan stood near the snack aisle, his heart pounding like a drum. His clothes were old and faded, his sneakers torn at the sides. He hadn't eaten since the night before. His mom worked 2 jobs, and some days there was simply nothing left in the fridge. Today was one of those days. Ethan's eyes locked onto a protein bar hanging near the counter. It was cheap, small, and could quiet the hunger burning inside his stomach. He looked around. The bikers were laughing loudly outside, completely distracted. The cashier was busy arguing with a supplier on the phone. Ethan's hands shook as he slipped the bar into his hoodie pocket. Just as he turned to leave, a deep voice thundered behind him. "Hey kid, empty your pockets." Ethan froze. One of the bikers, a huge man with a gray beard and cold blue eyes, stood in the doorway. His name was Jack, the leader of the Iron Wolves. The store went silent. The cashier's face turned pale. Slowly, Ethan pulled the protein bar from his pocket. Tears filled his eyes. He didn't run. He didn't lie. He just whispered, "I'm sorry." Jack didn't yell. He didn't punch the counter. He simply nodded toward the door. "Come outside." The heat felt heavier outside. The other bikers circled around Ethan, their boots crunching on gravel. To a kid his age, they looked like giants. Ethan's hands trembled as he stared at the ground, waiting for the police or worse. "So," Jack said calmly, "why'd you steal?" Ethan swallowed hard. "My mom's sick. She couldn't go to work today. There's no food at home." His voice cracked. "I wasn't gonna steal again, I swear." Some of the bikers exchanged glances. One of them, a younger guy with tattoos crawling up his neck, looked away uncomfortably. Jack studied Ethan's face. He saw fear, but also honesty. Still, stealing was stealing. People expected bikers like them to react a certain way. The cashier hovered nervously near the door, phone in hand, ready to call the cops. Jack finally spoke again. "You know what happens when you steal from the wrong people." Ethan nodded slowly, tears rolling down his cheeks. The bikers waited. The town waited. And Ethan waited, unaware that his life was about to change in a way he never imagined. The silence in the parking lot felt heavier than the desert heat. Lucas stood trembling, his eyes fixed on the gravel beneath his feet. He expected shouting. He expected the police. Maybe even handcuffs. Instead, Mike, the leader of the Steel Ravens, let out a slow breath and turned toward his crew. "Anyone here think this kid looks like a criminal?" he asked. No one answered right away. Then a biker named Ray, broad-shouldered with a faded Marine Corps tattoo, shook his head. "Nah, he looks hungry." Mike turned back to Lucas. "What's your mom's name?" "Sarah," Lucas replied quietly. "She cleans offices at night. She's been sick for days." Mike nodded. He reached into his vest pocket, pulled out some cash, and handed it to the cashier. "Ring up the sandwich, and whatever else this kid needs." The cashier blinked in surprise but did as told. Bags of food were soon placed on the counter: bread, soup, milk, fruit. Lucas stared in disbelief, tears spilling freely now. "I don't understand," he whispered. Mike crouched down so they were eye level. "Listen, kid, stealing's wrong, no excuses, but letting a kid go hungry, that's worse." Ray stepped forward and placed his biker jacket over Lucas's thin shoulders. "Your skin and bones. You need this more than I do." People in the store doorway began pulling out their phones, stunned by what they were seeing. This wasn't the story they expected to tell. Outside, Mike waved Lucas toward one of the bikes, but not the way he feared. They drove him home. Lucas's house was small and worn, paint peeling, lawn dry and yellow. When Sarah opened the door, her face drained of color at the sight of the bikers. She pulled Lucas close, apologizing over and over. Mike raised a hand gently. "Ma'am, your boy didn't do anything bad. He was just hungry." They brought the groceries inside. Ray quietly fixed a broken cabinet hinge he noticed hanging loose. Another biker slipped an envelope onto the kitchen table. Inside was enough money to cover rent, utilities, and groceries for months. Sarah broke down crying. "Why would you do this?" Mike smiled softly. "Because someone once did it for me." Before leaving, Mike knelt in front of Lucas. "You're smart. You've got heart. Don't let hunger or fear turn you into something you're not. If you need help, come to the Steel Ravens clubhouse. Ask for Mike." Weeks later, the story spread across the town and online. People donated food, clothes, and school supplies. Lucas's mom recovered and found steady work. Lucas started doing odd jobs at the biker clubhouse after school, earning honest money and learning responsibility. The boy who once stole out of desperation now stood tall with pride. And the biker gang everyone feared.